What's going on, everyone? Happy Facebook Live. I've got Blaze Thomas over to my right, which, if you're watching, it's to your left. Also, Natalie Harris, my weather intern. And I'm Dan Scoff, Chief Meteorologist of KNWA Fox 24. Had a cool day, Blaze and Natalie. I got to meet Al Roker, which was really cool. Of course, you've probably seen him on the Today Show, a staple of broadcasting. He's getting a national, Emmy honor award. So a lifetime achievement Emmy. That is just amazing. But I know people are watching the Razorback game. I'm going to be doing the same thing, but we have a 7:00 show, and I wanted to give you a little Facebook Live update. That way, you can watch this in the future and maybe the replay, and you'll be able to see what's going on with our storm chances. So Blaze and I are Natalie going to break it down for you. As people have said, maybe they're watching Ryan Hall in southeast Kansas, Wichita. They got quite a storm. Let's take a look at what we've got cooking here across our area. So first of all, this is the severe weather risk. We're just going to dive right into it. You'll notice it's a level 4, a moderate risk that's in southeast Kansas and north central Oklahoma. Does not include any of our weather coverage area. However, you notice that enhanced risk does clip northwest Benton County. This is going to be an after midnight event. There's a little uncertainty how much the storms will remain intact as they move into northwest Arkansas. Nevertheless, though, I know I'm sick of it too, Danny, saying this is just unbelievable. And look, Jason, Blaze, Dan Scoff equals anxiety. Oh, not always. Come on. We'll keep you up to date on all this. I know. No, please. I hear you, but I'm just telling it like it is. I'm just, that's the weather around the country. Here's what's happening in our neck of the woods. Now I can't use that because that's Al's stuff. But Natalie, what do you think of the takeaways of the forecast? Yeah.
Well, we've been looking at some photographs.
Oh, speaking of photographs, we've been training her a little bit on skew tees and photographs and learning how to read them. And in one day, you think you got it? You think you understand it?
Almost.
Completely?
Almost.
It's tough. I mean, it'll take more than one day. How about you, Blaze?
Yeah.
Should we put you on a live quiz?
Oh,
No.
Right in front of Facebook Live.
Let's not do that, right?
Maybe Turd Ferguson will want that. But here's a look at the tornado risk. So it does include parts of northwest Arkansas. Now, because we're not during a newscast, I can go ahead and kind of zoom in on this. So check this out. We're going to zoom in. Keep in mind, even though you're in the green area, let's just say that tornadoes are still possible. Yes, they will be on a downward trend in terms of the threat. However, there is that tornado risk, and the problem is that we have so much instability right now. The fuel that's available, Blaze, so much CAPE, for sure.
Yeah, we have a lot of instability. We were looking at that earlier, and definitely fueling those storms to our north.
Huh. So, yeah, we have a lot of fuel. And speaking of that, we got some new stuff to show you, thanks to Blaze right here. Want to show you this. This is a Mega Doppler, and we got Mega Doppler showing those storms that are to the north. Now, Mega Doppler is a great radar source, but Natalie, there's also another source that we can look at, and this is called GR Earth. And GR Earth is, let's just say, an amped up Mega Doppler. So for those that love Megadeth, like myself, this is the Tornado of Souls radar. Because how cool is this that we can overlay, you ready for this? We can overlay mesoanalysis. So you'll be able to see with that tornado potential, we'll go back to Mega Doppler and look, we can overlay on the radar the mesoanalysis. So now you got the thunderstorms, you can see the fuel, and you can see the values on the left-hand side. So we're talking 3,500, 4,000. This is 5,000 CAPE right now. Unbelievable. And that's from the RAP model. And if we go down here, you can look at the significant tornado parameter and look at how that's starting to creep up with some of those storms that could be dropping southeast. So there's a look at temperatures in the mid to upper 80s to lower 90s. And then look, we can go on here and we can throw the dew points on there as well. So you can see those shaded areas. We can also take off all of those temperature readings, which is really cool. Just so many different things that we can do with this system, overlaying different things. And so now we don't have to look at those ugly those ugly mesoanalysis graphics that are a little tough to see. So people are loving the Megadeth references. Yeah, we're sweating bullets here. Or some of you might be sweating bullets on the storm potential, but I will say this, that we do have some storms that are coming in. Back to this quiz thing for Blaze.
Jason, no. No.
All right, so I don't think a 9:45 Emily flight is going to be canceled, and here's why. We're going to take a look at the future radar, but going back to this real quick, we want to look at the mostly unstable SIN. So you'll notice that we have a little bit of a cap right now. We look at the mixed layer SIN, and you can see how that's really kind of eroding in northeast Oklahoma. And then you got mixed layer LCLs that kind of shows all that stuff. So there's so much different things that we can do. Here's a 0 to 1 kilometer storm relative helicity. Blaze has adjusted these helicity graphics to show exactly like what we have on our weather graphics. And then we can take that off. We can take off all the watches. There's so many things that you can do. And then we can look at mean sea level pressure. So there's the mean sea level pressure. There's the low pressure system that's to the southwest. We can look at the 10 knot winds that are over basically Oklahoma. We can look at the 850 millibar heights and the winds. And there you see those low level jet winds starting to kick up a little bit, which will be important for the shear. We can also look at some GOES products. So if we look at the GOES mesoanalysis, most likely here that GOES is going to be definitely over our area. Well, look at that. The mesoanalysis number 2. Okay, yeah, there it is. It's loaded. So there's a look at the cumulus field. And so a lot of different stuff that we can do. All right, let's take a look back at Northwest Arkansas. This is some behind the scenes stuff that we'll look at. So there's that tornado risk that includes parts of Northwest Arkansas, but also the damaging wind potential. That's where we have, let's just say, the symphony of destruction that could be happening in northeast Oklahoma and southeast Kansas. That's another Megadeth reference, in case you're wondering. Like I said, man, that's why it's called Mega Doppler. So we'll take a look back again at the timing. I know you want to know about timing. We'll get to the timing. Large hail risk, I think, as the storms evolve linear into a line, it's not going to be as bad. Okay, Ashley, this is the question that you want to know. This is the question that Taylor wants to know. Do you think it will fall apart by the time it reaches Northwest Arkansas? I don't think so, because there's too much instability to work with. And yes, there will be a little bit of a cap, but there's too much instability. And here's a look at the storm activity that's popping up to the northwest. Now, watch what happens as we take this over time. Here's midnight. Look at those storms cranking up in northeast Oklahoma. And then as it goes throughout the early morning hours, there's 1:30. So these lines are coming through. Blaze, you were looking at the HRRR model, and what were those wind speeds that you were seeing on that?
Well, according
Well, you
to
have to move up because you're a shadow right there. There you go.
According to the HRRR, it was estimating, now this is not at the surface, this is just above the surface, but anywhere between 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gust would be associated with this line.
Mile per hour?
Miles per hour.
Do we have to make you do push-ups?
I hope not.
Zach's not here, so
Whoops.
I'll be all right. I'll let you slide this time. But miles per hour, yep. We gotta be grammatically correct and accurate, right? So anyways, just like further and farther. But so let me take you further in time as we look farther off to the northwest, and you'll see here storm chances. So this is what we've got rolling in 2 a.m. That's when the storms start moving in. So I think this timing, Blaze and Natalie, is going to be right around 1 to Ryan Anderson is firing them all off, man. I think around 1 to 2 a.m. is when that storm starts moving in. The outflow boundary will tend to weaken the storms. I think for Van Buren County, for your area, and Searcy County, I think the storms will be on the weakening trend.
Yeah.
But around here, too much instability, and the storms are going to have too much fuel to work with. So around 3-4 o'clock in the morning, you're looking at river valley storms. Now, keep in mind, this is just one model, and it shows just one outcome. If we look at some other outcomes, which we'll do, but before we do that, let's take a look at the rest of the HRRR. So maybe not as much storm activity during the early afternoon, which I agree with, but then that front is going to be moving in. And you'll notice that we've got Peace sells, but who's buying? Not a good reference, but that's a good song. Another Megadeth song. How about storms coming, but who's buying on the models? I don't know. Sometimes those storms popping up as we go into the early morning hours at midnight Thursday. So this is tomorrow night into the morning. I do believe that as an additional round of storms pops up, and then that is going to be the end of the activity. So kids at Camp War Eagle, any concerns there? If they are in a campground with tents, yes. If they're in an inside structure, they should be okay. However, the problem is those winds are going to get a little bit elevated overnight tonight. Let me show you a different model. This is a totally different model that's looking at the 3-kilometer graph model. Yeah, I bet the GFS shows nothing, says Becky. Good for stinking model. Let's take a look here at the future track. This is the 3-kilometer graph, meaning that's the resolution. It's a little more higher resolution. It only goes out a few hours. Let's see what happens here with that line. So it's coming in. And by the way, if this happens, the tornado potential isn't as great. If that line runs from west to east and it drops south, that's going to be parallel to the shear vector, not perpendicular. So the tornado potential with QLCS tornadoes, not as great. So there's a look at, as we go into the morning hours on Wednesday, you can see those storms pushing through and then kind of weakening. So nevertheless, I think that line is going to be moving in. There will be some heavy rain and some gusty winds and a lot of lightning. So you're definitely going to be hearing the thunder tomorrow morning. Now here's the 4-kilometer graph. This is a little bit of a different model. It goes out a little farther, but it shows a similar scenario. See those storms in the river valley around 3, 4, 5 o'clock. And the tornado risk is there. It's not zero, but it's not super high, but it's not a slouch either. So we're going to be watching this closely. And hail will be a possibility, but nothing super major. So yeah, see how those storms are all pushing south by after midnight? I think that's a pretty good likelihood. And just to let you know, there is a flood watch that's out. This was issued earlier today for heavy rain potential. And we're looking at 2 to 3 inches of rain, not out of the question. So that's the flood watch that includes Benton, Carroll, Washington, Madison County, and Northwest Arkansas. Not in the river valley because the storms may be a little weaker, but there's a possibility that that could be pushing a little bit farther south. So we'll see how that goes. All right, this is a graphic. Blaze, take us away on this timing because this is something you worked on right here.
I did.
So if it's wrong, that's the guy right there. That'll be under the bus.
Yep.
Sorry, man, I'm throwing you under the bus.
No, you're good.
You know I'm just messing with you.
I know.
Oh, I get it all the time, by the way. Here's a look at the timing of this, Blaze. So take us through. What do we got?
So we start out this evening, and we think that the overnight hours, anywhere between roughly midnight to 4 a.m., that's when we will be impacted. And so we went ahead and did an 80% chance of precipitation, especially for Fayetteville. And then you'll notice it kind of starts to decrease a little bit. But as we get closer to the afternoon tomorrow, the chances increase as well. But we only went 60% chance tomorrow, but we're keeping an eye on it. We may increase it, especially if model guidance continues to support more precipitation.
Yeah, so that's a great breakdown. There's a little uncertainty as to how much that development will take place tomorrow afternoon. That's another reason why it was a little bit less. Justin's going to bed now. Well, you know, if you're a Razorback fan, I wouldn't.
No,
I wouldn't go to bed yet.
no.
Game's not over. We got to put UCLA to bed. Here is a look at what we've got for the 2-day precipitation forecast for the River Valley. Now you'll see those rain chances are a little bit higher, a little later. And we got, nice, 2-run home run.
Ooh,
we got to
sweet.
put this on this TV
Yeah,
here.
we do.
We will. But I just wanted to give you a quick live update here. We'll do another Facebook Live after the 10 o'clock. It'll be just me, myself, and I, though, for that one. The tornado in Nebraska was insane. Blaze and the Monster Machines replace Peyton Manning. Peyton Langford. Yeah, Ryan Anderson. Peyton Langford is down in Houston. He's with his girlfriend, with his parents, and he is taking some time from TV. So hopefully he gets a job at the Houston station We're trying to do that, trying to contact the chief there. Kind of tough to get a hold of, but hey, persistence is the key. That's right. Okay, so let's go back to, let's see here. Heat risk. Yeah, that was a good. Yeah, Peyton was a good dude. But you know what? We got up and coming, new person, new man here, and we're gonna break him out of his show. We'll get blazing, as we say. Josh Rugger, I don't think we need to break him out of the show. I think he's good to go. We haven't talked to Natalie very much. Natalie Harris is our weather intern. Natalie, go ahead and say hi to the Facebook group.
Hello, everyone. I'm Natalie Harris from Fayetteville, Arkansas.
So tell us why you decided to intern. Why did you want
Why
to
I decided
intern?
to intern.
Yeah.
So, I am a private pilot, and through flight school, I got very interested in weather. And through high school, I went to Fayetteville High School, so I did the FHS TV program. So that's how I got interested in broadcast.
Right on.
And so, weather and then reporting, combine the two.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd reach out to KNWA, the best in the business, and
Appreciate
get
that.
an internship with Dan.
Well, cool deal. Yeah. So she's learned about skew tees, photographs, and and also how stressful this job can be when you're trying to make the 5 o'clock and you don't have a whole lot of support yet, because there's a lot of training that has to be done, and it just takes some time to get your feet wet and to understand how to do everything. So let's go back to this risk real quick, and we've got a newscast starting up at 7 o'clock, which I know all of you will be watching instead of the Razorback game, right? Yes, absolutely. There's a look at that severe weather risk, a level 1, a level 2, a 3, and 4. As you go farther northwest, you've got some pretty strong storms. In fact, let's zoom out on this big picture here, and we'll show you what we've got as that disappears. That is a moderate risk. And when we look at the individual threats for this moderate risk, we're talking some pretty stout winds. Look at this hatched area, and there's already been a lot of storms that have popped up. Okay, you can turn on the lights. We're good. But there's the wind risk. Hail risk isn't as great for us, and that's because the storms are going to be more linear. Tomorrow, the risk kind of shifts to the south. This is after 7 a.m., and I think we got more storms, but tornado risk is also there tomorrow morning into the early afternoon. So it's a little lower, but it is possible. And then the low end wind and hail risk. So it says medium, but I mean, percentage wise, probability, it is kind of medium. But yeah, severe storms expected overnight tonight. One last look at the future radar. Blaze is scared of the dark. We got it on now. You know Jason at all?
I do.
Okay.
I know. Jason's a real good buddy of mine.
He is. He is clowning on you. And I know, all in good fun, right?
Absolutely.
All right. My dad is in Southeast Kansas. They are under a tornado watch. In fact, we actually didn't show that. That's a good point. I'm going to bring it up on this one because it's a little easier to read. But we'll take a look here at that tornado watch. And so there it is. It's to the northwest of us. It's not even close to us, but there's the tornado watch, and it goes until 10 o'clock tonight. Will there be a tornado watch farther southeast? Probably not, because it's questionable. That doesn't mean that tornadoes can't happen. A lot of times severe thunderstorm watch comes out, and then there's tornadoes all over the place. But I most likely think it'll be a severe thunderstorm watch just because winds are the predominant threat. Now, one last thing I do want to show you is, again, this is a look at all the fuel that's available for these storms, which is quite a bit. And that color table matches up beautifully.
It does.
Look at that. That's a destructive right there, destructive severe thunderstorm. In fact, you'll see it pop up on the screen here in just a second when we look at this. So this is a destructive severe thunderstorm with 2.75 inch baseball size hail. Now, that's not going to be the storms that we see here. Those are going to be the storms as they travel to the southeast. You can see how they're kind of starting to turn southeast, and additional development will take place as those storms pop up. Well, guys, guess what? That wraps it up for this Facebook Live. Woo Pig, go Hogs.
They're up 2-0.
I know. We had Aloy that hit a 2-run homer. So not many home runs at the College World Series, but Bentonville Storm's coming in around 2 a.m., 1 to 2 a.m. We'll have another live as we go into after the 10 o'clock news. See you guys. Take care. God bless, and we'll see you tonight.